Hi, everyone, and welcome to our 50th episode of our student athlete interview series. My name is Katie, and I'm one of the interns here at Sports Finder this summer. So, our student athlete interview series shows the lives of different college athletes at all levels in sports. Our guest today is Jack Bolger. He's a rising sophomore and is a catcher and outfielder for the Vanderbilt University baseball team. Thank you so much for joining today, Jack.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So we can just get started. So tell us a little bit about when you started playing baseball and what made you start playing.
Well, I started playing baseball when I was pretty young. I don't really remember an exact age, but I started playing sport fit t-ball when I was really young. And the only memory was hitting a double home run. I always joke about that with my parents. But that was always fun, just playing backyard baseball with sport fit. And then I really started watching baseball before playing baseball at the Bowie Bay Sox because they had a thing with 4-year-olds getting in free. And then my parents were always looking for something for me to do. So kept me entertained. And then so I started kind of growing up at a baseball field and learning it from there.
Awesome. So you started at a really young age. Did you have any role models at this young age or some favorite players maybe?
My favorite player actually was the first baseman with the Blue Bay Sox. His name is Eric Crozier, and it's actually why if I have a choice, I usually wear number 33, even though I'm 16 at Vandy.
Yeah.
I was big into getting foul balls, and usually the first baseman usually ends the inning with the ball probably 60% of the time, just because if it's a ground ball, it usually ends at him. So I was always calling out his name to try to get the ball, and we kind of built a relationship, and then that's kind of carried over into as I've gotten older and as I've kind of progressed through kind of the different levels of baseball.
Yeah. So when did you know that you wanted to play baseball in college?
I don't know. I mean, from a really young age, I've always wanted to play professional baseball. So, I mean, college is definitely just a stepping stone into that. And obviously being able to get a degree and use my baseball talent to be able to attain a degree I might not have been able to get without baseball is definitely just an amazing aspect of the sport. But if I had to put an age on it, probably say 11 or 12 would probably be when I really focused on kind of as a goal of getting a college scholarship and eventually getting the pro ball.
Yeah, awesome. So can you explain a little bit about your recruiting process and like when it started in general, and then explain about your recruiting process specifically to Vanderbilt?
Definitely. It's crazy to think that I consider myself somewhat of kind of like a late, not a late developer, but like a late recruiter. Being from Maryland, I didn't have the exposure of like a Florida or California kid, but I ended up committing to Vandy the fall of my sophomore year of high school. Surprisingly, a lot of kids committed before that, but Vandy was always my dream school. So kind of when they offered me is almost a no-brainer. I had a few other schools in mind. I was thinking about UNC, obviously my hometown, Maryland, and then a few other schools from across the country. But when Vandy offered, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean,
Yeah.
It was where I wanted to be since I was really young, and watching them win in 2014 kind of started my interest with them. And then it just became, like I said, a no-brainer.
Yeah. So what made you choose Vanderbilt as opposed to these other schools like during that process?
Just the culture they created and the environment. I mean, there's nothing like it. What Corbs creates and like the leadership he provides in this program and the track record of just development and just guys that are making an impact in the big leagues and just an impact in general around the game of baseball, not even just playing. There's guys in front offices, guys coaching, guys playing, all-stars. I mean, anywhere in baseball you look, you have some kind of Vanderbilt alumni. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of that culture and being in it? I mean, you obviously see why all their guys are so successful. I mean, it's an amazing program, and he's created such a great environment.
Awesome. So after having your freshman year, what do you say the biggest change from high school to college was, both academically in the classroom and athletically, whether it's in the weight room, on the field? What do you say those biggest changes are?
Definitely just the pace of everything, how everything's done. Everything's done with a purpose. I mean, high school, you can kind of get I don't want to say lazy, but things are kind of slow sometimes. You have kids that aren't as committed as other kids, and you kind of clashing heads sometimes. And I mean, college, everyone obviously has a shared goal and wants to be there and wants to get better. And you only have so much time you can be together. So everything's done at a really fast pace and at a high level. So just trying to get your mind right to function at that pace and function in that environment was kind of the biggest change for me. From the classroom, I mean, I didn't think there was a giant change. Obviously, most of my classes were online, so I didn't get the full college effect. But I mean, just getting your work in on time is the main thing with me. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing changes. Nothing changed too much from high school except maybe a little difficulty of the classes and the kids are a little smarter around me being at Vandy. But at the same time, if you get your work done and just put some hours in your books, I mean, it's very, very doable.
Yeah. So how did the pandemic affect you both on the field and then also in the classroom?
I mean, it just gave me a little bit of time home with my family, honestly. I mean, it canceled my high school season, which sucked. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, I really was looking forward to my senior season. I thought we had a really good team at DeMatha, and we could have gone for a WCAC championship, I thought. But it's just how things go and how the cards get dealt sometimes. I mean, it just gave me a little more time with my family before I went off to college and allowed a little more time for me to develop off the field with in the weight room, just with certain skill sets, and also just allowed me to kind of learn some hobbies outside baseball. I got into fishing a little bit and just different things like some card games I got into. And
Yeah.
I thought is once you got past the kind of grief and disappointment of the reality of not having a high school season, you got to kind of bring stuff back to basics and just have fun training for baseball again.
Do you think that once you got to Vanderbilt, COVID affected you a lot, or once you were there, it was different than when you were at home?
I mean, Nashville's a little less strict than Tennessee, but when I went to Vanderbilt the first time, I mean, I thought it was going to be a bigger issue when I'm after moving, after all my orientation stuff. It was pretty. You're basically alone with all the kind of mandates and kind of to keep everybody safe that Vanderbilt put in. But once we got on the field, and once I got introduced to the team and the seniors, I mean, it almost felt like normal. I mean, we did a really good job, just blending the team very early, and it was good to just have a group of guys together again, just competing and bonding and just moving towards a common goal.
Awesome. So what would you say your greatest accomplishment has been as an athlete?
That's a tough one, but I don't know. I would probably put up making the USA 18U team. I guess 2 summers ago would probably be up there. I'd say that was my probably best accomplishment, just because of the amount of time we put into that tryout process and just the quality guys that I was competing against, and then I ended up going to go over to Korea and compete with our gold medal. I mean, that was incredible. So I mean, I think making that team and competing with those guys and those guys, I mean, I think I'd put that up there with my greatest accomplishment.
Yeah. Awesome. And then to wrap it up, do you have any advice for student athletes that are maybe going through the recruiting process and trying to navigate through that? Like, what's your advice to them?
I mean, don't think too much about it. Be realistic. Kind of know where you want to go. Don't feel like you have to spend a boatload of money going to all these travel ball showcases and tournaments. I mean, I Vandy saw me through a camp because I kind of knew where I wanted to go. So I mean, I went to a camp, kind of was proactive and got in front of those coaches and just kind of work on getting better. Don't think about the college recruiting process so much. It's just getting better every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining today.
Of course, my pleasure.